to come. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I come off down here to the studio this morning, hoping to see my friend Paul, and he's broadcasting from the Gallo studios.
We're doing from another studio. I am, sir, and I thank you very much. You look good in the big chair there. So
yeah, how about that? I kind of feel like I'm making it up in the world here.
I was reminded about the autonomous thing, so I'll get that out of the way first of all. The autonomous, I think you guys had one of the spokespeople. Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday?
Yeah, we had it yesterday.
Tell me about what this is all about.
Well, it's primarily just putting some regulations around autonomous vehicles. You know, if we don't have any regulations dealing with these things, then there is nothing they can do whatever they want. But if you look at the map that shows states that have regulations with autonomous vehicles, there's a big hole right there where Mississippi is, and everybody around us has already got this in place. So we're going to get something in place. Sean Tyndall, Commissioner of DPS, was there at the meeting yesterday and brought up some solid questions, as he always does. And I was actually looking to bring that bill up today. We Transportation Committee meets today at 11 o'clock, and I was actually going to bring that bill up today. But after that meeting yesterday, I think there's probably a couple more questions that need to be asked. I may work on it one more day.
Let me have the questions here, because we're totally in the dark on this thing. It doesn't require any technology for us, or does it?
Oh, it doesn't require any for the state. Now, obviously, the technology on the vehicles is extraordinary.
Apparently there, but we don't have to install anything as far as on the streets or cameras.
We do not, but that's one of the things that that I want to address. You have to put forward a Department of Safety communication plan. So what does an officer do if they have to pull one of these trucks over? Who do they interact with? Because there's no one in the truck. Mm-hmm. So who do they interact with? And so what the bill currently says is that the company has to send the plan for doing that to the Department of Public Safety. But there is no approval process for that. It just says you got to send it. And I'm kind of thinking, until we get our arms around this, that we need to make sure those plans are complete. And so I think there ought to be a bit of an approval in there.
So many questions here. The plans are almost like an airport. We're filing a plan that we're going to be sending a truckload of bananas on this truck to this place. Is that what a plan is? Or the plan is, how do you actually interact with someone?
That is how you interact. The plan that they're talking about is how you interact. But Commissioner Tyndall also had questions about that. Yeah. How do you keep these electronics from being hacked and using these vehicles to transport contraband across the state? And he made a real good point about that, and I think that needs to be addressed as well. And then, you know, there are 5 levels of autonomous vehicles, with 5 being that a vehicle can do everything that a human can do, and we're not at that level yet. We're at level 4. So there was a lot of questions, too, about can our transportation system, all of our roadways, if we make this allowable across the state, can all of our roadways actually support these autonomous vehicles? And a lot of questions about that. So,
wouldn't that be up to them more so than us? Because here's my question: is this being done now, or is any freight being done by autonomous drivers that you know of anywhere in the country?
Yes, it is. Yes.
All right. So if you're a company, regardless of who you are, I would imagine the people who makes the final go on this and sign off on it, they're putting their company at risk. Because if that truck kills a family or anybody, I mean, the lawsuits are going to be unbelievable. Could wipe them out.
Right. Yeah. It's not something that that the state of Mississippi has to respond to. It's not that we've got to upgrade our roads to suit these vehicles. It's that we just want to make sure that we know where they are and that we agree with the routes. So I believed up until yesterday that the way this was going to work is that the companies would submit a route that they were going to take in the state of Mississippi, and it would be approved, and then that is the route that they would take. And I found out yesterday that that's not exactly the plan. So, again, I think I'm going to need another day to work with the attorneys and work with the folks over at DPS to be sure that we get this right.
Anybody in our neighboring states already have this done? That you could,
They have the regulations in place. So whether or not their autonomous vehicles are being used there, I don't know. But all of the states around us have the regulations in place, and as I'm told, this is model legislation that has been approved by those other states.
Are we trying to rewrite something different, or why can't we match theirs?
We're not going to blindly accept it just because other states
blindly, but I'm saying that they're doing half the work for us.
Well, that's exactly what we're doing. Yeah. We have that model legislation, but we still have those questions around that model legislation.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, the other part of this, too, you would think simply, and it'd be easier if it's done on some of the interstates, I-10 or I-55, but you got to get off. If you got freight, you got to deliver it, and sometimes it's going to be in secondary roads. So you've got to have the whole landscape there. You can't just say it's easy for us to do this on an interstate. They have to deliver, so it's going to be just about everywhere.
Well, it's going to be lot to lot. I mean, once you get a vehicle to let's say we're going from a Walmart distribution center in El Paso, Texas, to the Walmart in Ridgeland. They will go to the lot, and then someone will get in the truck and actually back it up to the lot and all that. So,
I would imagine Amazon is also looking at this.
Amazon, UPS, FedEx, they're all very excited about it, and we should be excited about it. I mean, right now we have a trucker shortage across the country of about 80,000 people, and that's expected to grow to 160,000 by 2030, and so we need a fix for it.
You mentioned the different categories. Is like food delivery, Domino's Pizza. Is that rated the same way, or is that because I would think they're probably going to be like number one who want to jump on this?
Well, all I was talking about there, Paul, were the levels of autonomy, where one or two, maybe the vehicles that a lot of us are driving today that do automatic braking and things like that. Level 4 is where we are today with the technology as it's been developed. That's as high as we can go. Now, level 5 has been identified, but we don't have the technology to meet level 5 right now.
I saw one on social media. It was funny because it was a cop pulling over a Tesla. There was nobody in it. And that was just, that went viral because it was probably one of the first times they had that on camera. Representative Charles Busby is my guest this morning, District 111, which is in Jackson County, Chair of Transportation Committee. Let's go over to this one that we were just talking, because this one's, and as just I alluded to, this is tough. Because I understand where the car dealers are coming from on House Bill 401. Before I leave that, though, there's something unsettled that I want to go back. You're telling me as far as this autonomous bill, you are not going to let it out of committee yet, or you got some other, it's just not ready to go.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do a little more work on it prior to 11 o'clock. Our meeting is at 11 o'clock. I don't think I can finish it by 11 o'clock. So I meet again at 11 o'clock tomorrow. And I do intend to pass it out.
Got you. All right, let's go back to the 401. Your thoughts on that one and where you guys are standing now as far as the House is concerned. When we come back, let's take a deep breath, pour another cup of coffee, and we'll get back and talk about the Tesla bill, the electric vehicle bill. It encompasses more than Tesla, of course. With the Representative Charles Busby, who is also going to be running for another office. We'll talk about that. Coming back in just a moment or two, Andy Gibson at 8:05. I see. I was just noticing on our news talking about the gender bill that went through as far as mutilations, and I just one little caveat on this one, and you may agree with me on this one. My guest is Chairman Charles Busby, District 11, Jackson, Chair of Transportation. If you have any liberal medias who think the Republicans are just mean and wrong on this, as far as the gender bill, then I think it's a good bar to set on whatever else you read from liberal media is to be taken with an ounce of an ounce of qualifications on education to anything else. It's just crazy that we've gone this far in this country. There was a bill that we have some audio on in Florida that the governor there is taking some heat on. We'll play that audio for you a little bit later on. I'm going to get to House Bill 401, and again, this is the electric vehicle bill, which basically says that if you want to order a car tomorrow from Tesla in the factory, or regardless of what the factory is, I guess even if that factory was in the state of Mississippi, you couldn't do it.
Well, that's the way I understand the bill. That bill came through Ways and Means, did not come through Transportation, so it caught me a little off guard. Mm-hmm. On the surface, it doesn't appear to support free market, but by the same token, as you mentioned earlier, we've had a number of our dealerships that have played the game for a long time, and they stand in the middle between the manufacturer and the consumer, and to back up the products and make whatever repairs are necessary on the products. So they play a tremendous role here, but I'm scratching my head a little bit on that one too.
Well, it's hard because these are hometown businesses, and I mean we need those hometown businesses, and they've been with us for a long, long time, and but again, it's almost like a glacier that's slowly but surely encroaching, and it's kind of hard to ignore it as far as where the market is and where the culture is going.
Yeah, as we move from technology allows us to progress and open markets. I caught a lot of heat from taxi cab drivers several years ago when we passed a bill to allow ride shares in Mississippi, to allow Lyft and Uber, and I caught a little heat and my response.
I caught a lot of heat being having the audacity to call myself a conservative when I thought that we should tax internet sales. But I just thought what was fair for the goose was fair for the gander.
Yeah,
if you're a hometown donut shop on Oak and Vine, then they ought to play by the same rules.
And I am in agreement with that. And I think that if you were to talk to a lot of your cities and counties now that are getting the benefit of those use taxes, they would all agree as well.
Yeah, if they were vocal before, they're not vocal now, so they're okay with that one. So is that it? Do you know where the progress of this is? It's
it's obviously passed the House and gone to the Senate. So I don't think the Senate's not acted on it yet. I assume they probably haven't even referred it to a committee yet. Mm-hmm. The deadline for bills to come out of committee is next Tuesday, the 31st. And so I would imagine that most chairmen are working on the bills that originated in their chamber before they start looking at bills that come over from other chambers. You
voted for that bill, though.
I did, yes.
Okay. I do want to mention, because we've gotten half way through this visit here, and I haven't asked you about anything else in the Transportation Committee that you want to spotlight.
Well, we have a few repealers coming up. No big deals. We always have a handful of memorial highways. We got a bill that's a little odd for transportation that has to do with the purchase of drones in the state of Mississippi. So the vice chair, Mr. Massengill, is handling that bill. And then,
wait a minute. What's the number of the bill? Do you know? And what does it say?
I don't recall the number of the bill, but it pretty much says.
Is it licensing drones or what?
It requires that drones cannot be purchased from outside of this country. And he is
this
much
is almost like TikTok, isn't it?
Yeah, it is kind of like TikTok. Yeah, for fear of what can be done with those drones if they're in the control of others in another country. And then we have the EVs coming on. How are we going to build out our infrastructure? So I got a bill from the agency, from MDOT, to allow public-private partnerships on building out of the electric vehicle infrastructure.
We're talking about chargers or what?
We're talking about chargers, yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have what does that bill say? Are the taxpayers going to be paying for these chargers?
This allows public-private partnerships. So there would be some public money, and regardless of how that money is gets to the agency, it's going to be it's going to come out of someone's public pocket. Yes.
Did we do that for gas stations?
That was a little before my time. I don't think.
Did everybody's forgetting about the ethanol thing, and I think ethanol is still there. Apparently, it hasn't helped the gas price at all, but we got some corn farmers who are making money on
it. Yeah, well,
amazing.
We need to put that back into food. I don't know if you've paid any much attention to what corn prices have done, but
when eggs become contraband, we've gone too far in this administration.
Yeah, and they have.
Yes, they have. They're sneaking them across the border from Mexican chickens, and I'm not sure what that's going to do with you after you eat a few of them, but they say you shouldn't be doing it. So,
but I will say, I think overall, outside of the autonomous vehicle deal, it's a fairly light year, as you would expect in an election year. People not dropping crazy stuff.
Let's talk about the election. This would be, if you're victorious, I guess this would be your final year in the legislature?
Well, it doesn't matter whether I'm victorious or not. I've committed to the other, so it'll be my final year in the legislature regardless.
Yeah, you haven't been there that long.
12 years.
Oh, it is 12 years. I thought it's 12 years?
12 years. This is my 12th session, right. Yeah.
You've been on transportation for how long?
Time flies. This will be the 8th year that I've chaired transportation.
I got you. Well, good luck to you if you do and are elected. What's number one and number two for the Southern District? What are you hearing from some of the people?
I'm hearing that everybody is concerned about road conditions and capacity projects, which have been on hold for quite some time. We're starting to open that up a little bit, and then I want to go back to looking at a north-south route, another north-south route from the coast to North Mississippi. I want to see what it's going to take to do that. I'm not saying that we're going to do it, but I at least want to explore the possibility of doing it and see why
it's interesting.
Why we can't. If we can't, I'd like to know why we can't.
Where would you draw that line? A little bit further to the east, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would. I think pretty much the route that currently is Highway 15 would be a pretty good route. The other thing that I'd like to look at is the money that is being, we've had a pretty good amount of money that come from the legislature that we're leveraging federal dollars with. And I think a lot of our contractors are seeing that as spikes in spending, not something that's sustainable. I would like to see that money be programmed by MDOT. I don't think there's anything that stops us from programming it now so that we could do a higher level of expenditures over a longer period of time. And I believe that would give our contractors greater confidence that any investments that they make in personnel or equipment are going to be able to get a return on that rather than wondering whether or not they're going to have those people and those pieces of equipment working in 6 months when this spike is over. And I've also seen that we're seeing some overruns in both schedules and cost, and so I'd like to be able to make sure that the taxpayers are getting what they need for the dollars they're putting forward, and I think that's what we need to do that.
Now Tom is not going to run again, right?
No, sir. Commissioner King has stepped down. He's done a tremendous service to this state and the state Senate and the House and as commissioner. And we certainly owe him a tremendous debt of gratitude for all he's done for the state.
He's due some fishing time.
Yes, sir, he is.
He's put it in his time in. Charlie, it's always good talking to you, sir. Representative Charles Busby, chairman of Transportation. Good luck to you. Anytime you need us, give us a call.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me.